And our little G1 nostalgia trip continues today as we look at this guy. It is G1 Windcharger, and in essence, it's also my thoughts on G1 Tailgate. I guess the recent reissue of Tailgate. You see, recently I talked about the reissue mini-bots, using Bumblebee as my best exemplar, though I did kind of address the other three as well, and I said then that we'd take a look at this mold, just not the Tailgate version of it now. Though we will kind of touch on that, and if you haven't seen the Tailgate version, I'll probably show you a picture or two along the way. Maybe. We'll see. But it's this mold, so my thoughts about the articulation, about the conversion, they're the same here. In terms of the color scheme, well, you know, it's Tailgate or it's Windcharger. It is what it is. Although I think Tailgate kind of wears it a bit better because at least with Tailgate, like, he kind of looks like he should. This face, I don't know. Anyway, this guy's going to be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Bolton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stick around, check out the channel, see what it is that catches your interest, please. Look for me everywhere. Have a look at Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, and Transformers Collectors NL. And this is, of course, G1 Windcharger. And I just said I don't know when it came to his face, because here we have a visor and a faceplate. It's not even a face. If I look at the animation and then look at this guy, I wouldn't know that they're the same character, really. Whatever. I kind of think that the Generations one, the Power of the Primes one, does a better job. Heck, even the Combiner Wars one looks more like Windcharger to me. Heck, even that Scout Class one, that really doesn't have the right body type because the hood here is on the chest of that thing. It's not right. It's a really good figure, really posable. It's a fantastic figure, actually, and really posable, but it had the wrong body type. Nevertheless, this is one of those examples of where it all started. And when I think of Windcharger, I do think of a gray body. I do think of red arms. I do think of tires up on the bicep and down here. And I do think of, I guess this is the back windshield with like blinders or something. I don't know. It's like a beveled, like, shades or whatever. It was the 80s, man. It was the 80s. Cars were weird. What do you want? And this guy actually has his rub symbol, which is kind of cool, I guess. Anyway, enough of me babbling on about this guy from a distance. Let's head over to the table and take a closer look at him. And this, of course, is G1 Windcharger, and I've taken a look over the years at a lot of kind of, you know, vintage G1 figures. For example, the Technobots and Computron in episode 155, or Omega Supreme in episode 156. What about Ultra Magnus in episode 160, or Blur in episode 172? There were Action Masters in episode 164. The Insecticon Kickback in episode 177. Or the Micromaster Combiner Team Constructor Squad in episode 185. There's even been the Sharkticon Na in 198. And the only Headmaster I ever had being Brainstorm in 193. My first ever Transformer, the Red Bumblebee in episode 200. G1 Hunger in episode 205. Spinister from 209. 240 was Sea Spray. You get the idea, you know. Skullgrin in episode 285. And Wheeljack in 312. Even Trailbreaker as recently as 379. So you get the idea. There's been more, but you got the idea. And this mold is actually being re-released right now as Tailgate. I think it's inevitable. Like, wave one of the reissues of the mini-bots. We have Tailgate, Bumblebee. We have Outback and Swerve. Okay, Bumblebee, he might get repainted into something. Some people are certainly hoping for that, and I can see it. But I think it's a given that they're doing the old trick of give you the repaint first, so the figure you actually want, you'll still get later. I think it's almost a certainty that we're going to get Brawn at some point from Outback. I think it's almost a certainty that we're going to get Gears from Swerve. And I think it's pretty much a certainty that we're going to get this guy re-released from the Tailgate mold. And I kind of discussed all four of those very recently and took a little bit of a closer look at the packaging and the Bumblebee figure in package. That wasn't mine. I wasn't able to take it out. But this guy, who I'm also lucky enough to have from Wayne, because my actual version has the two front wheels broken off, sadly, is out of package. So I can take a look at him. And this is exactly what Tailgate looks like in vehicle mode. Now, you know, on the packaging for the Tailgate reissue, it shows how to convert him from robot to vehicle. So I figured, why not show this guy going from vehicle to robot? I don't know. It's not that it's a hard conversion at all, because it's not. It's really not. Yeah, it's really not. So, that being said, I guess we'll talk about the paint apps, I suppose. 10, you know, arguably 10, because some might say, hey, he's not the most animation accurate, but it's G1 Windcharger. How can you argue with it anyway? Some people, you know, want their figures based on the animation, some want them based on the toy. I don't know if one is more right than the other. I'm an animation guy, but I don't know if one is more right than the other. He rolls fantastic. I always love the big tires on this guy. By the way, some people might complain and say that on the reissue, he has plastic tires, not rubber. So does the original. This is the original. It's plastic tires, not rubber. Though the Bumblebee has rubber, and the original Bumblebee had rubber. So, I think they're doing a fine job with the updates, to be honest with you. He rolls fantastic. He always had big oversized tires anyway. In terms of converting him, you flip out the legs. And after you flip out the legs, you can stand him up. And then you pull out the arms. And I guess you can kind of angle him forward. And this is it. This is it. That's it. He's done. Don't judge him. Does he stand well? No. No, I don't think he ever really did. I don't know. He didn't need to, man. He's Windcharger. He didn't even need to stand well because he's just that cool. What about his articulation? Well, let's get in a little closer and we'll cover the articulation then. Okay, so paint apps 10, transformation I guess 10. All you're doing is pulling out the arms and flipping down the legs. It's so simple. The articulation, the head, well, it's just really a face on a, not even a face, it's a visor and like a face plate just on the bottom of the vehicle. At least Tailgate has a little bit more like of a face, I think. Well, he doesn't, but he has more face detailing than this guy. Like, this looks nothing like the animation in terms of the face. But outside of that, the arms, they go forward and back. They can go all the way around just fine. They don't go out or anything to the side. No elbows or anything like that. The legs, they don't go forward or back, but like he bends at the knee, so like that's a thing. You know, that's something you can do. By the way, some people have asked, hey, the new G1 reissues, are they reduced in size at all? No, actually they're not. As a matter of fact, here this guy is next to the G1 Bumblebee, still in packaging because it's not mine. You know, you're probably looking and saying, he's smaller than Bumblebee. He always was. This is accurate. This is the way that the two toys kind of always scaled with each other. So, it's correct. It's correct. Tailgate is the same size as this guy, for the record. Speaking of which, here he is with two updates of Tailgate. One, I think, is more IDW inspired, being the Generations release, and I think the Power of the Primes release is probably more G1 inspired. To be honest with you, I kind of like the darker green and whatnot on the Power of the Primes, but there's an argument to be made for both. I think that the Power of the Primes one is superior. I really do think it's superior, although I do like the alt mode of the Generations one. I did look at the Generations one in episode 170, and I looked at the Power of the Primes one more recently in episode 389. Just in case you're thinking to yourself, oh no, well what does the G1 even look like? I'm going to put just a couple of quick pictures in here now just so you can see the G1 reissue in package for Tailgate. And as you can see, Tailgate is everything Windcharger is in white and green, teal, I don't know what color you call it, but it's the exact same thing as Windcharger. It's a solid mold. And here we have Windcharger with other Windchargers. The one over on this side, of course, I think is IDW inspired. I looked at him in episode 171. It's not a particularly great mold, I don't think. I get the argument for it if you're an IDW fan. If you like the comics, hey, I totally understand. Windcharger, I kind of discussed when I talked about the Power of the Primes scrapnel by using the Generations version. Anyway, I looked at the Power of the Primes Windcharger in episode 339. Again, the Power of the Primes one is a really nice G1 homage. But at the end of the day, most fans know that this is G1 Windcharger. Most fans know that this mold is also G1 Tailgate. It was one of the more fun, yet simple molds from back in the day. And what can I say? It's hard to grade it. I'm going to have to not really give it a grade because there's so much more that was based on this. I've said that 100 times. What can I say? G1 glory days. You gotta love a little bit of nostalgia. And this is some G1 goodness. Yeah, okay, granted. The dude only has rotation of the arm all the way around. I mean, there's no elbows, there's no out to the side or anything. Yeah, okay, he has knees so he can kneel, but I mean, the legs don't go forward or back. This one has great chrome still, like not very little chrome wear. The tailgate looks fantastic. That looks really, really good. It has great chrome on it. I think it's a great use of the mold. You can see how this guy, Windcharger, and by association Tailgate, would measure up with, say, Generations Legends class figures. So you know how big these are. I mean, these mini-bots, they were only little tiny guys. But they were fun. They were fun and they were easy because you could take this guy, straighten him up, push those in, flip these up, and you had a car with like big monster truck tires. I always thought. I loved Windcharger, still love him. He's fun, yes, simple, but he's fun. It's basically like the equivalent of like a Legion class toy. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of times I'm hard on Legion class toys, though there were a couple not that long ago, being Drift and Heatseeker from the RID line, that I kind of thought were really good. There's nothing fancy about Legion class figures today. There's nothing fancy about the mini-bots. It's just the pure nostalgia factor. They're simple. It is what it is. You know, in terms of the paint apps, I guess it's 10. We can't really compare this one to the animation because it's just as valid a first representation as any of the animation would be, if not previous to the animation. In terms of the transformation, they're simple. So are a lot of the Legion class ones. In terms of the articulation, it's still only by rights maybe a 5. Something like that. Nothing great, but it does the job it needs to do. Just like modern day Legion class figures. So here's what I would say: if you are actually not familiar, well, if you are familiar with this, then you know how good it is. If you're actually not familiar with this for some peculiar reason, then it's about as good as a Legion class figure. If you like those, you'll like the G1 mini-bots. If you don't like those, you probably won't like these. Let me know what you think about this guy and all of the other little G1 mini-bots. As always, I'm going to say thanks for giving me some of your extremely valuable time. You know it is beyond appreciated. I'm going to say once again, please hit that subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.